Welcome, low ego action heroes. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and it's Tuesday, which means it's time for me to take your questions live and do live mentoring, live coaching, live hand holding, anything that I can do for you. You can send in your questions through the link at dcx.to. There's a link there for sending in your Q&A AMA questions, or you can drop them here in the chat. Just remember that the chat on both LinkedIn and where am I? YouTube will show your name. So maybe don't use that if you want to say something mean about your current job, which of course is completely encouraged. And let me also make sure that I am looking at the LinkedIn chat because sometimes that is not showing up on my screen. Hey, I-10, good to see you. Seen a lot of you lately, and that's a beautiful thing. Hope you're getting your fill of chocolate. I just had some. Is it in my teeth? Hello, Ana Lucia. And of course, as always, thank you to our past, present, and future paid Patreon members. We got another one today, and I didn't put them up yet. And some people downgraded to free, and I didn't take them off yet. But everybody's moving in all directions, and we're just happy to have you in the Patreon, even at the free level. So come on over and see what you're missing at patreon.com/CXCC. I10 likes my new glasses. Yeah, these are my computer glasses. And then these are my regular glasses. I got bifocals. So, yeah. I thought these looked super cute and kind of wacky, and since I wear them for the computer, only you will see them. Anyway, this is where you ask me questions, and I answer them as best as I can. I do not have any questions ahead of time. We cleared all of those out last week when we had Dr. Nick on the show. So if you do have a question and you want to put it in the chat, I'm watching. If you want to send it in anonymously, I'm also watching. You can do that from the dcx.to link. And of course, while you're at dcx.to, check out everything else on that page because it's all the links to all the stuff that I offer and do, including my calendar of events with the free workshops we have coming up and the free webinars. Excuse me. As well as some of the paid stuff, the paid workshops. Excuse me. We have some exciting paid courses that I am working on. I'm writing them now, so they are absolutely fresh and new, and you can find them on the dcx.to page. So check out the new cohort courses. They will be live in September and October, and you can sign up now if you are a curious cat. And if you need a discount code, let me know. I will get you one. Let me see if we are getting any questions in. I'm not seeing any yet, so we'll hang out a little bit together. And if we don't get any questions, we will wrap it up for the day and say we tried. But I am here to take your questions if you want to put them in the chat or send them in anonymously. Your choice. Yeah, so I'm not great at filling dead air. I don't have anything much to say to anybody other than I'm here to help and take your questions. This is my office hours, and I will take any question I'm qualified to answer. CX, UX, product strategy, product market fit, musicology, music of the Renaissance, dogs. What else? What else am I good at? Chocolate. Yeah. So how can I help? I'm here for you. It costs you nothing. What can I do for you? While I wait to see if we get any questions today, I will say that I just got done filming part 1 of a 2-part podcast with someone. And we put my resume into ChatGPT and asked it some interesting questions I didn't think of asking it. And ultimately, we came up with some resume change refinement suggestions. Now, I'm going to need to work hard on this because my resume is already long. It wanted me to add a lot of keywords. It wanted me to add made up crap. So remember, you can't just copy and paste this. And the things that it wanted to add did not sound like they were written by me. So I've got a lot of work cut out for me, but I think it's interesting. And we're doing it as an experiment. Save as. And I'm going to get back in touch with this podcaster in about a month or so and let them know if I got any more interviews because of it or even a job. So it'll be, it's an interesting experiment, and I'm open to those things. So we just recorded for an hour and a half, so I don't know when that podcast will be out, but it was certainly fun and interesting to do, and I will take some of that advice and see if it helps, and then I'll be able to tell you what helped and what didn't. So I see we've got a handful of people live on LinkedIn. Hello, LinkedIners. If you have any questions, I am here to take them. This is live office hours for mentoring, coaching, advice. I'm here for you. So if we'll give it a few more minutes. If people don't have questions this week, that's totally fine. You can send in your questions during the week at dcx.to, and I will save them for Tuesdays, and I will make sure I get to your questions. Ana Lucia says, by the way, Claude is available in Portugal. I tried it like you did. I agree with you. It doesn't go cuckoo bananas as much as ChatGPT. Yeah, I think Claude is a little bit better at trying to emulate critical thinking. So I don't use AI a lot, but when I do, I try Claude. But I also have some weird fights with Claude. All right, Chris De Silva. Hello, Heitor. Okay, Chris has a really interesting question. Let's get this one up on the screen and also into the document that will be the YouTube description. Okay, so let's put this up. Boom. All right, Chris asks, and thank you for that super question. Welcome to the show. What do you think are some topics in UX that don't get much attention but should? For sure. There are some things that are on my list there. I would say the top of my list, whenever I'm asked something like that, would have to be information architecture. Right, everybody? Who agrees with that? I would say that information architecture is something we're doing anyway. It's built into everything that we do. There's no way to work on a screen or a web page and not have information architecture. But yet, I think it's something that we're paying attention to less and less. I think job descriptions don't say information architecture the way that they used to. When you're being interviewed at a job, they might not ask the right questions or review your work in a way that checks if you know anything about information architecture or do it well. So I would say the top of my list would be information architecture. Other topics in UX that don't get much attention but should. What do you all think in the audience there? We've got some LinkedIn peeps. We've got people watching live on YouTube. What do you think are some topics? I10 says how the final UX design is not only dependent on UX designers. The amount of time devs butcher our designs or think something's better and do it their way, not talked about enough. I think that was in my Delta CX book, but I10's absolutely right. And that's really a process problem. We don't talk about how often a UX designer has created something. Ooh, which way do I need to go to be more centered here? We don't talk enough about how much a UX designer has done something, and those designs are deliberate, and engineering should be following those as a blueprint, as the Bible of the designs. Here, let me see. I'm going to sit where I want to sit and then move myself with my software. Boom. How's that? So I totally agree, but I also think that it's not just something we have to talk about, we have to do something about it. So whether we're being overruled by product managers or overruled by engineers, we definitely need to talk more about UX being steamrolled or bullied or gaslit or overruled. I think that's a great one, I-10. It's a great true thing that we need to talk about more. I think another topic that I have certainly waved at for quite some time and sometimes said openly is UX leadership sucks. There are a few good people out there, but in general, it seems like the majority of UX leadership is not good. Sometimes they don't come from the work, they haven't done the work, they failed up, or they have 2 years of experience and all of a sudden they're director of design. They're very often not strategic. They don't know what to do with. Okay, we got lots of people writing in stuff now. I10 says, lately I've been thinking about learning front end and making my own designs. Go ahead. I think people would love if you did that work. Fiamaya says, my question. Oh, good. We have a question. LinkedIn user Esraya says, accessibility for cognitive disabilities and emotional design, cough, cough, Duolingo. Yeah, we talk about accessibility a lot. So I feel like it does get some attention, but it doesn't get action. And so I think that we can't just talk about accessibility or inclusion or DEI or we have empathy. You have to take action on these things. You have to go beyond talking about them. Ana Lucia says, if an engineer overrules the design, shouldn't they be held accountable for doing so? They went rogue. Yes, and sometimes they are held accountable, and sometimes I had a job once where the engineers were completely rogue, and their manager declared that to be a good thing. He said UX was slow, and that he welcomed his engineers doing design because anybody can do design, and they'll be faster than we are. And so they were not held accountable. So yes, I would like to see more accountability for sure. Okay, we do have another question. Let's put it up because it is chicken egg, I think, even though we know the answer to chicken and egg. So, sorry if I'm not pronouncing people's names correctly, but this looks like Fiemea says, my question is UX or CX an end or means to an end in customer satisfaction? I would have to challenge that and say it's the everything. It's the everything. It's the start, it's the end, it's the middle, it's the end, it's the means to the end, it's the reason for the means, it's the evidence for the research for the means for the end. It's all the things. The customer or user experience is all of the interactions and touch points that a customer or user or someone from our experience ecosystem, as I like to call it, can possibly experience with our product or service or company. So that could be a call to customer support. That is a customer experience. It's also a user experience, but a lot of people think a user experience is digital, a customer experience isn't. I don't make those distinctions. If we're doing this well, these are all customer and user experiences. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. So I would have to say CX and UX are all the things, and it's all your company has. If your company stops having customers, stops having users, you stop having a company. So ultimately, what we do must be to serve our target audiences, those customers and users, whatever we call them. And whoever they might be, whether they're business customers or consumers or enterprises or whoever it might be. Excuse me. So, Fiamea, I don't know if that answers your question or if I'm close or far, but let me know what you think. And if anybody has any follow-up questions, even to someone else's question, go ahead and ask it. This is a conversation and your comments will show up over here. So jump on in. Okay, Chris has another question. Thanks, Chris. Let me paste this into what will be the YouTube description, and then we'll paste it up on the screen. Oh, Ana Lucia has a question too. Okay, so hold on. Let's get Chris first. All right. Chris says, What areas should UX professionals focus their energy developing outside of UX? Yeah, so to me, this is kind of a make your own ending question because, like Itan was just saying, maybe Itan should work on learning coding. Maybe. Maybe that's a direction I-10 wants to go in. Maybe there's a researcher out there who wants to learn more design. Maybe there's someone who wants to understand more about strategy. So, to me, as long as you are growing and learning new things, I can't say that there's a bad direction to go in. My typical advice is to go to a job board, LinkedIn Jobs, Indeed, whatever works for you. The board doesn't matter. Find jobs that interest you. Find jobs that match what you would like to do or the companies where you would like to work, and take a look at how those companies describe those jobs. What skills are they looking for? What combinations of skills are they looking for? And then try to assess yourself and see, would I qualify for this job? Do I have what they're looking for? And if not, that would probably be an opportunity for you to upskill or grow because you're looking at a job you would like to have and you might not qualify for it yet. So I would say it's going to be different for different people. I can't say everybody has to learn research or everybody has to learn design. I think everybody should know about information architecture and I think everybody should be strategic. But as for other areas of growth, I think it really depends on what kinds of jobs you'd like to have. Um, and yeah, and I-10 says don't forget to be industry specific. If you're focused on a specific industry, focus on learning about that industry. Finance, gaming, healthcare, etc. Yes, another great piece of advice. Thank you so much. So that is a good one. So you can only grow in the directions that work for you. A lot of people over the years have told me that I need to grow more as an artist and a visual designer. But guess what? I just don't have a lot of talent in that area. And the more we have design systems, I don't need to be an amazing artist. I'm just going to work from our brand guidelines and our design system, and I don't have to invent the design system. So I don't think it's that important for me to try to become a better visual designer because I've been predicting for years that visual design will be one of the first things that we do less of between, originally I thought it would be because of design systems and now possibly things we call AI. Okay, let's jump on Ana Lucia's question, which was, now that you're back on the job market, I'm looking for a job. Who would like to work for me or who would like to manage me? What have been your strategies to show the value you can provide? Also, how do you think hiring managers should be looking for this value? Super interesting question. Okay, and we've got an anonymous question coming in as well, so we will jump on that one next. Thank you, anonymous question asker at which side do I point to? dcx.to. So starting with Ana Lucia's question, how do I show what value I can provide? Well, it's tough because I think I can best do that in a conversation, but typically the first thing you're showing a company is your resume or CV, an application that may or may not have open questions for you to talk about that, and sometimes your portfolio. So I have to try to write things into my resume that make me sound knowledgeable, experienced, capable, delivering business value, delivering customer value. And so I think that's really going to be about how we describe our work in our resumes. It's harder for UX people because very often we don't have numbers to go with this. I can't say, hey, I did this research work at the University of Arizona, and thanks to me, they have a 37.3 increase in thingy. I don't have that. Partially because I've worked on a lot of early stage projects, like my entire time at University of Arizona that I just finished was on a secret project that's never been launched. So I can't say X% improvement of thing. It's brand new. It doesn't exist. And partially because sometimes people aren't tracking those metrics. Sometimes we're not told them. We can't find them out. And so it's hard. It's hard to use numbers to deliver value in a quality based universe like UX. That's something I've tried to convey to people when I'm not in the interview. But how should hiring managers be looking for this value? I think it's hard to determine from a resume. You can try to determine it from a portfolio project or case study when people talk about the shape and the progress of the project and what they did and how it worked out. And you can try to see if this is someone who brings the type of value that you're looking for. And sometimes it just has to come from a conversation. But I would encourage hiring managers, and I do, to determine the value of UX practitioners based on quality, not just based on the quantity of something, like how many insights did you find in your research or how many screens did you design. The number of something doesn't mean that it was done well, doesn't mean that it helped the team, doesn't mean that it led to success. So I think I always advise hiring managers to step away from number based things. Maybe that works better in engineering or product management, but we're not really a quantitative based universe. We're about the quality of our work and the outcomes it can produce. And sometimes that's harder to measure with numbers and easier to measure with more qual type things. So tough stuff, but great question. Let's go to the anonymous question and then we'll go to Heitor. I'm making you a little bit Italian. Sorry about that. Though your name might be more, I don't know, Australo-Hungarian. Okay. So the anonymous question looks like this. I know it's been talked a lot, but what do you think happened to tech and UX? When I was studying, it was booming. That's one of the reasons why I pursued UX. Everybody was looking for a UX designer. It was super hot. Now it's so quiet. What happened? Yeah, very true. And this is something we've talked about a few times on this channel, and I do plan to talk about it more, especially after the summer ends and people are back from summer vacations. We're definitely going to have some tough conversations about what is the future of, oh, Brazilian, thank you. Sorry, you have that Germanic last name, but we know there was a lot of motion towards South America and maybe in the 1900s. So hello and obrigada for you joining me today. So what happened? We've talked about this before, and it's a combination of things. So I'm going to give you the short version because I don't want to get too long. It's a lot of stuff that would be really tough for us to try to change, but I'm always going to try to fight it as long as I can. We have all of the things that cheapened UX, all of the everybody's a designer, just do design thinking. UX research should be democratized. Everybody can do research, which of course led to AI can do your job, which it can't. But as my Medium article says, if product managers can do our jobs badly and nobody cares, I guess AI could do our jobs badly and it looks like nobody cares. So we have certainly that contributing to a lot of our problems. And that really started probably maybe 6 years ago. Not the AI, of course, but the everybody's a designer. UX should let everybody do their work, even though nobody else is letting everybody do their work. And then we have all of the stripped down versions of UX that are designed to be fast but not good. Just do design thinking, just do lean UX, just make what you do smaller and smaller and smaller and faster and faster. So we've got that on one hand. We also have problems from Agile. Even though there's a lot of good stuff at the core of Agile about having a reproducible cadence and delivering quality and paying attention to good design and improving team dynamics, a lot of people brought Agile into their company and said, oh, this means go faster. And it means go faster, go faster, go faster, go faster, go faster. And it really, it didn't necessarily mean that, but people think agile means go faster. And we really threw quality out the window because in order to be faster, we were going to have to cut corners. Maybe we didn't want to do research. Maybe we didn't want to usability test. Maybe we just want to get it out there. Then you have all of the um, uh, fake, I don't know how to call it, fake startup-y kind of things like, oh, you don't need research or design, just get your idea out there and start experimenting. Get a minimum viable product out there and start experimenting, which doesn't make a lot of sense because if people need a car, showing them a kick scooter doesn't help you learn if they need a car or what kind of car they need. So there's a lot of lies we tell to ourselves with a lot of the MVP and lean startup type of stuff. And then finally, we have the changes to U.S. Tax Law Section 174, which I believe has caused a lot of the layoffs in 2022 and 2023. I've got an article about that on Medium. If you're not following my Medium articles, I do recommend it. Of course, the Patreon. Go to dcx.to, join the Patreon. The paid Patreons at the mid-level and higher get early access to articles. Everybody else gets early access to articles, but not as early as the mid-level and higher Patreons. But just jump on there and you'll be notified of articles, sometimes even before I've finished them. And so that Section 174 was a tax law voted in by Trump in 2017. It was designed to be enacted in 2022 when there was a chance he wouldn't be in office, and wouldn't you know, he wasn't in office. And basically, that tax law has to do with how companies are allowed to expense people like you and me. And the way that we were written off, as we say, on taxes changed dramatically and is causing companies to pay much higher taxes on us workers than they used to. And so companies' answers to that was just to get rid of us. So, so I would say that is a lot of what happened okay, we see we have more questions coming in. That's great. So I think that's what happened to UX, and I think it's always been a hub and spoke problem. There's a lot of things affecting companies' perceptions of us and what we do and how it's done and how important it is and who can do it and things like that. And because we don't have great leadership and there's no accountability and we think failure is cool, it's really hard to fight for. We say outcomes, and I go, great, how are your outcomes? Oh, our outcomes suck. We're failing a lot. Okay, what are you doing about that? Oh, we just come up with another idea and we try it again. And I think, that's not what we learned in business school. That's not what we learned in anything I've ever done in my career. Everything I've ever done in my career has been pointed at success. How do we create more success, less risk, less waste, fewer mistakes, fewer bad decisions? But yet right now, we seem to love that stuff because then we don't have to explain why we're so bad. So instead of explaining why we're so bad and somebody being held accountable, we're just going to say, hooray, we're failing. Isn't failure so cool? Yay, failure. So it's very strange right now, and I can't guarantee you that it's going to turn around, but you know that I will keep trying. Let's get Heitor's question up. Debbie, do you think we should seek other problem-solving tools besides design thinking? If so, which tools do you think we can use? Hey, everybody, what's my answer to that? The people in the room who know me. Someone said design thinking. Design thinking is part of the reason many of us can't find jobs. So design thinking is one of the things that has led to the downfall of UX. Yeah, no design thinking. Design thinking sucks. Yeah, so do I still have the graphic of, I think I took it off my list. I had meow, 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 design thinking sucks. Who remembers that one? That's an oldie but goodie. Yeah, go HCD. Yeah, so basically, Hey Tor, a great article that I wrote, if you don't mind me saying my own article was great, that I think will be great for you is go to Google and write Medium, because I write my articles on Medium, Medium, Debbie Levitt, design frameworks. And I have an article about how all of the design frameworks you've ever heard of, from design thinking to double diamond to whatever, are all watered down, smaller variations of human centered design, or what some people say is user centered design. Users are usually humans. And so design thinking came about much later. And in fact, if you want to read another article, may I recommend my Medium article called Was Design Thinking Designed to Not Work? So if you Google that in quotes, it should come up. And design thinking was designed to not work. It's been increasingly controversial, and I don't know about you, but I am seeing much less talk about it on LinkedIn and in articles than I used to see. It used to be the hottest freaking thing in town, and now I'm not seeing it as much. I even think I'm seeing it in fewer job descriptions. It's really falling out of favor because it mostly failed. Everyone knows my favorite is still the January 2020 article on how design thinking should solve the coronavirus. That didn't age well. It didn't. It wasn't good at the time and hasn't aged well. So, should you be, and design thinking is a fake problem solving tool. It is way too focused on we for how might we. So I find it to generally be garbage. Later response for the previous question. Okay, we'll mention that in a moment. Thank you. It's coming up as LinkedIn user. Let me flip back to LinkedIn to see who it is. I don't know. I have to go back to my own. Oh, S. Thank you, S. Um, so, get away from design thinking. Design thinking is a stripped down, microscopic version of human centered design. Human centered design is the way to go. IDEO stripped it down because they were hoping that if they made something that looked easy and felt easy and was full of fun workshoppy games, that they would be able to sell it. And they did. Until it was around long enough where people started saying, I don't think this is working. And we sure spent a lot on training and this isn't working. So it's been falling out of favor for a variety of reasons. So, yes, please look at human centered design and catch up with a couple of my articles to help point you in some better directions. Thank you for asking that question. Design thinking sucks, but I'm happy to talk about it. We've got to talk about these things. Let's get S. S said, later response for the previous question, sad face. I would also mention that there was a trend where many companies and startups, without a clear understanding of UX, hired designers just to follow the hype. They jumped on the bandwagon of hiring UX designers, and now that trend has faded. Many UX professionals realized they weren't able to practice proper UX due to rejection or lack of support from their managers. Yeah, totally true, S. You got it. Heitor says, never thought on this perspective. Thanks for the references. I'm going to look at it. Great, thanks. I hope you will. I've got a bunch of YouTube videos on why design thinking sucks. I think the last one I did was episode 115. So if you get bored, you can go to YouTube and write Delta CX115. Open up the chapters and jump into design thinking. Yeah, don't worry. I know what you meant. You don't have to correct your spelling with me. We're all friends. Okay, let's dive into some of the anonymous question coming in. And thank you for the anonymous questions. We've got a couple more. And sorry, my system's a little slow today. Probably need to reboot my computer. Here we go. Someone said, and by the way, when you send in an anonymous question, even I don't know who it is. But thank you. Hi, how does one transition from UX design to graphic design? And do graphic designers make more in the UX? In the US. I always do that. You should see me type. So, I'm going to say that it used to be in the opposite direction. It used to be graphic designers who wanted to be UX designers because UX designers were paid more. So a lot of graphic designers started calling themselves UX designers. This really messed with UX designers because we weren't the same thing, and it started muddying the waters, and look where we are now. I think graphic design is more likely to go south faster than UX design because I think a lot of people think this is something they can just have AI do for them. And so I'm not sure that transitioning from UX design to graphic design is a long term solution. Could you get some work? Could you get some freelance projects? Maybe. But is it a good long term solution? I don't think so, because I think the more companies have design systems and the more they start relying on AI for graphic and visual design, the fewer jobs we're going to see in this area. That's been my prediction for years now. So I would say that graphic designers do not make more. And I think the graphic design job is probably going to be one of the first to be lost to various things and reasons. We have a strange question that's going to need more details. Someone wrote, "Can you talk a bit more about your life in the U.S. back in the days?" I can guess who wrote that, but can you please send in another message through the system and tell me what you mean by that? What was my personal life like? How much was my rent? Um, how were my jobs? I don't really know what you're asking, and I'm happy to talk about it, but I don't really know what you're asking, so it's hard for me to focus on the right thing. We should also point out that I moved away from the US in January 2018. So I have been gone from the US for quite some time. It's been 6.5 years now. Is that about right? Let's see. What is I have a countdown timer on my phone which tells me these things. 6 years, 6 months, and one day. Who's counting? Yes. So, so I've been gone from the U.S. for 6.5 years. So I can talk about what my life was like, but pre-pandemic stuff, I think the world was quite different. So, if you have something more specific you'd like me to speak to, I certainly will. Let's see if I'm missing any other LinkedIn questions. Oh, Liz is here. Hi, Liz. IR35 is similar in the UK. Tax legislation getting in the way. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I know similar things were going on in the UK, and don't know what to say or do about these things. Wah wah. Let's see if we got a follow-up to that question. Not yet. I'm not seeing that yet. Oh, yes, mostly glamorous tech life. Oh boy, was it not glamorous. Oh boy. Wow. It was exceeding. Thank you for that. Let's add that. It was exceedingly not glamorous, but let's also remember that I'm a non-glamorous person. Um, so, yeah, I think that the idea, oops, I've accidentally pasted a countdown timer in. Let's try again. Sorry, my system's being a little wacky today. Paste. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that I had a glamorous tech life. I would say when I lived in San Francisco or the San Francisco area, and I worked various tech jobs there in corporate and at agencies. Corporate was a lot of fighting. Some of the agency work was fighting. Some of it was quite good. Lots of nice people, couple of not nice people, definitely not glamorous, sometimes paid well, sometimes not paid well. And yeah, I'm not even sure what to tell you because that time is gone. Those days are gone. I think if I lived there now, I would just be starving to death because I would have no job and I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. I remember in 2011, was it 2011? Yeah, 2011 when I'd moved to San Francisco and I was having trouble finding a job. I think it was costing me 6,000 American dollars a month to live. And that gives you an idea of not only how fast you can burn through savings, or how fast you can go into debt, or how much money you need to be paid just to pay for life. So I don't think it's that glamorous. I think it's pretty messy. I-10 says, oh, one of my friends here in Sweden is from San Francisco, and she always says she could make so much more there. You can make so much more there, but did your friend talk about how much life cost? Did your friend talk about what it's like to have to pay for your health care and every prescription drug, or your car insurance, your renter's insurance, your rent, your commuting, your, there's all that stuff. So yes, we make more money in some parts of America, but our expenses are also much more. And that's also speaking as someone who doesn't have children on purpose, and at the time didn't even have a dog. Like, I had nobody to spend my money on but me, and sometimes the guy I was dating back there, and it was still very difficult. Okay, so Fiamea has an interesting question. Let's see if I missed anything in the follow-up universe. Nope, glamorous tech life. So glamorous. You've all seen me, right? So let's get this question up on the screen. Can you talk about Disney's strategy on UX design-led performance for customers worldwide? Yes and no. I have never worked at Disney, so I cannot speak to things about Disney as an insider. I can only speak about things at Disney from a super fan who happens to be wearing a Disney themed shirt today. Anybody who is familiar with Disneyland and Disney World parks might know the Carousel of Progress. So, yeah, super fan, repping the super fan thing. So, also, my area of, let's just call it hobby or obsession for Disney is what Disney used to call WDPAR, Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. So I'm less focused on movies and video games and lifestyle products, and I am heavily focused on their parks and their hotels. That is where my obsession is focused. So, can I speak to leading with CX and UX in parks and resorts? Yes, but that would be as a fan or a consumer of these things, and not as someone who worked inside of Disney. But my impression around these things, and I think I had a show on it. Was it episode 37? So you can find it on YouTube if you go to YouTube and you write Delta CX Pal Mickey. Let me write that in the chat so you can see it come up on the screen. Pal Mickey. There we go. So put that in, and that should take you to one of my videos about an interesting perspective on some innovations Disney did many years ago around the customer experience and the attention that they put into that, which was fun because I ended up hearing from the inventor. He found my video and he said, wow, you got almost every detail correct. Here's a couple of things you didn't know. And it's like, wow, as a super fan, that's pretty cool that I got some information right because I don't have inside information. So, in general, I think that in Disney's parks and resorts, while they definitely do things that don't feel customer centric, and while they definitely do things that can be budget focused and things like that, there are many things in the Disney parks and resorts that are very customer centric, and you can tell they really put a lot of energy into understanding people and their behaviors, understanding how everything from planning a Disney vacation to getting to Disney to getting around Disney to eating at Disney to getting on rides. There's a lot of stuff that they get right. Now, under the previous CEO, Bob Chapek, they got a lot wrong, and in fact, they dumped him, they booted him, and they brought back the previous previous CEO. So he's like on round two because they just had to get rid of Bob Chapek because he was so bad. He was just Mr. Cut Costs no matter what. And it really made a big negative difference on the experiences. So Fia Mea, I don't know where to start. Can you narrow your question down a little bit? Because otherwise, I could talk for days about some of the things that I've seen and learned about at Disney parks. I haven't been to a Disney park in a while, just because it's expensive and I don't live nearby anymore. So when was the last time I was there? Oh, I went with Ray from our community. Who knows Ray? Ray, oh gosh, I'm forgetting her last name. Ray, R-A-Y. Ray from Florida. I spent a day at Disney with her and her husband. Was that really over a year ago? Oh my gosh. It might have been last May 2023 when I was in town for something. Yeah, Ray Fox, thank you. I love her a lot. I haven't heard from her lately and I miss her. She's great. And I got to meet her husband. There's a great picture of me and him on a ride together because she didn't go on the ride. So he and I went together. Um, and yeah, so I need this to be narrowed down because otherwise, we're going to be here all day talking Disney, putting on all my Disney hats, and Disney hat with a Disney shirt. How bad am I? My desk is covered with Disney stuff. Over in my bedroom, I saw my fan. I have a fan with Disney Pride on it. I do support the Pride thing. Of course, I have my Sage Advice hat. I am here today to give everybody sage advice. So, who's got questions? I'm here to take your questions. We've got about 15 minutes left together, and then we're going to close it down. But I am here every Tuesday. And just check our events calendar at dcx.to to see when I am here. I miss her too and a couple of old but good people. Hope everyone's okay. Yeah, some people I think have been too busy to be part of our online community, which I totally understand. And some people have had trouble finding a job, so they haven't been as active in our community. But I do find that sometimes people are gone for a year or more and then they come back because they know that we're a community that welcomes you and wants you to be active and a part of it when you need us, and that you don't always need us. And join the Mofo Patreon, everybody. Won't you please? Um, so let me tell you a little story about the shirt I'm wearing since we're waiting to see if Fiamea has a follow-up question. Do you want to build a snowman? Yeah, I'm not as into that. That would be movie stuff, but let's talk a little bit about my shirt. This is the Carousel of Progress. And the Carousel of Progress started out as something that Walt and the Imagineers, which was then called WED, built for the 1963-1964 World's Fair that took place in the New York City area. And Disney's Imagineers, before they were called that, were hired to do pavilions for companies. Companies built these buildings at World Fairs so they could show off their products and technology. And the Carousel of Progress, I think, was General Electric. And they were trying to show a kind of home of the future kind of thing. Like, wow, one day we're going to talk to our ovens and we're gonna, wow. And so it was kind of a look at technology through past decades and what might it look like in the future. And it came with a theme song written by the Sherman Brothers. The other Sherman brother just died, but the Sherman Brothers have written so much of the Disney music that you know. Not The Lion King, but like Mary Poppins and so much stuff. Just Sherman Brothers all over the damn place. And the Sherman Brothers wrote a song for the attraction, and it was There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. I remember it now. I don't want to sing too much of it. I don't want to get a copy strike, but basically it was There's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. And it was about, wow, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and wow, technology in the future is amazing. And eventually word came back to the Disney people and they said, we think this theme song is working against us. Now, we're all critical thinkers here. Why would a commercial company like General Electric, who makes appliances and things like that, not like a song about a great big beautiful tomorrow. And while you type in your answers, I'm going to speak more of the lyrics without singing them to avoid the copy strike on YouTube. Let's see. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a dream away. Man has a dream, and that's a start. He follows his dream with mind and heart. And when that becomes a reality, there's a dream come true for you and me. And my online chat just died. Uh-oh. If you're answering, I might not see it. Oh no, help! Let's see, did we get anything in LinkedIn? I don't think so. And I have to run over to YouTube. See if I'm missing anything there. Can anybody guess why that theme song was a problem? Hold on, my live chat just died. Still alive, switch to YouTube. Okay, Ana Lucia says, how dare people dream about a brighter future? No, but close, close-ish. So evidently, General Electric thought that it was inspiring people to not buy appliances because there's better technology coming in the future. And why wait for that? And, actually the opposite. Wait for that. Don't buy your appliances now. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow. The technology will be better. Just wait. So the Sherman Brothers wrote a new song, and it was replaced. When the ride moved to Disney, they replaced it in Florida. They didn't replace it in California. But so I grew up with a theme song on Carousel of Progress ride that said, where the song was called Now is the Best Time of Your Life. See what they did there? And again, don't want the copy strike, but it was, now is the time, now is the best time, now is the best time of your life. So it had this little retro sound to it. And that's what I grew up hearing. And then eventually Disney changed back to playing There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, kind of as an homage to what the original song was. But that is the rumor. I cannot say if that is true. I was not there, and I haven't worked at Disney. But that is what I heard, that song was problematic, and that is why it was changed. And Ana Lucia says, wait, what? So, interesting attention to detail moment. We are struggling with the lyrics of your song. We think the lyrics of your song are inspiring people to not buy General Electric appliances. Pretty wild, right? So again, could just be a rumor or a wacky story, but that is the story that I heard, and that is why there were two theme songs for this ride and how they changed over time. And so I miss Now is the Best Time of Your Life. That was a song I grew up hearing on this Disney ride, Carousel of Progress, because after the World's Fair was over, they moved the ride to Disneyland, California. Disney World, Florida wasn't built yet. They built Disneyland, Florida some years later, and they added the ride there. So there you go. Now you know. Life is a prize, live every minute. Yeah, so there's lots of interesting stories about Disney. Some are probably not true, but I think many of them are true. And it's interesting to see some of the decisions that Disney has made quite deliberately to really deliberately craft experiences, especially in their parks, sensory experiences, visual experiences, also in the hotels. The theming of these things is really unbelievable. It has always been my dream to lead a CX UX tour of Disney World, Florida. The problem is that the amount of money you would have to pay for that is tough stuff, because just to go to Disney for a week as one person can easily be $2,000, $3,000 between park tickets and hotels and flights there. And then if you're going to pay me as your tour guide, it's just out of reach. It's just an amount of money that people are unlikely to have. But that was always my dream, was to just take people around and go, okay, here's some things that I know, and here's some rumors, and here's the difference between the two, and there you go. That song could make a good outro for the live sessions. Ha. Yeah, except I would get a super copyright strike. That's why I paid someone to write us a theme song so that I would not ever get a copyright strike. I own this song and the Low Ego Action Heroes song. If you live in America, the guy who did the Low Ego Action Hero song is touring America right now, although he is not doing our theme song on the tour. You can find him. He is Toehider, Toehider. He's only doing like 6 shows, and I think he's already done 2 or 3, so you might be too late, but we just saw him live in Germany, and he's beyond amazing. Super love him. Love. So yeah, I'm going to stick with theme songs I paid for so that I don't get in trouble on YouTube, or more trouble than I'm already in. So yeah. All right, so we're going to hear the gong sound soon, because I have this countdown timer counting down to 55 minutes or 57 minutes to remind us to wrap up at the hour mark. So please remember, let's take a look at what's happening this week. Remember, you can find the events calendar by going to dcx.to. Next events on the events calendar, Friday. For those of you in the Mastermind support group, we're trying our weekly call on Friday instead of Thursday, because you asked. Let's see if that gets more people turning out. Saturday, I hope to do my live karaoke stream on my secret Twitch channel. That hasn't been happening lately, but hopefully it will. I'm just thinking about singing Eye of the Tiger. Monday, I'm doing an extra long webinar. Be here, everybody. Be here at LinkedIn Live and CXCC YouTube channel. I'm going to be talking about how to do Figma-y stuff in Axure. With all of the wacky stuff we've seen from Figma lately, people are asking me more questions about Axure. Hey, can I do this Figma stuff in Axure? And the answer is, look, there's some stuff Figma does better than Axure. There's some stuff they both do fairly well. And there's some stuff that Axure does better than Figma. And we're going to be talking about that, because a lot of people say, oh no, Axure, it's got a big learning curve. It really doesn't. The beginner and intermediate stuff is fast to learn, especially if you're used to tools like Figma. It's the advanced stuff that might take more time to learn. And hey, you learned Figma, you can learn Axure. So while I'm not going to get through everything in 2 hours, I do have 16 hours of Axure lessons on the Delta CX YouTube channel. You can head on over to Delta CX at YouTube. There's an entire playlist of my Axure 10 lessons. So that's what's coming up on the channel for the live streams. Hey, don't forget that I've got new courses that are available for sign up. They are at dcx.to. I've got Space coming up, which is strategizing products and customer experiences. I've got a course on product market fit. I've got a course on planning qualitative research. I've got a course on writing and public speaking, because some of you said to me, oh my gosh, I wish I were as comfortable public speaking as you are, Deb. I'm going to teach you how I do it. So come on over and check out those courses, and if you need a discount code, just reach out to me. There's discount codes for everybody who's in my community, so reach out if you need a discount code, and let's get you signed up for those courses. This week I've been working on writing the public speaking one, and it's been really fun to write, so I think it's going to be fun to take. That one is going to be, I think, starting in late September, so make sure you get signed up. All right, we missed the gong. We heard the gong. So I'm going to flame us out of here, but I will catch everybody hopefully later in the week. Keep the questions coming. And if you asked a question today that I missed, or you send one during the week, it will stay in the hopper, and you will be among the first questions that I answer next Tuesday. You can always catch these archived on the YouTube channel. They're harder to find on LinkedIn. So come on over to CX-CC on YouTube. Customer experience, customer centricity, and subscribe and check the archives for stuff. Thanks again, everybody. We started out a little bit quiet and mysterious, but it sure ended up a fun time together. Thanks to some new people who asked some questions who haven't asked in the past, and of course our regulars as well. So I will see y'all soon. Bye.